Hey everyone, welcome to this next session. This is going to be Showbie Advanced with Abdul Chohan, that's myself. And we're going to be working through a number of different features. I'm just waiting for people to sign up. Just give us a few minutes and hopefully we should be able to kind of get a few people on here as well. Okay, so before I kind of do that, I'm also going to make sure the chat room is available. Hi, Jenny. Nice to see you again from a few minutes ago. Hope the last session was useful. Hopefully this one will have a few extra things in there that you can kind of get to grips with as well. So I want to make sure that all panelists and attendees can kind of see this. Hi, Anders. How you doing? Hope all is well. Hey. Nice. Hope everything is going good in Sweden. Let's just see. So feel free to kind of just introduce yourselves here. Hi, Heidi from the UAE. Nice to meet you as well. I'm just going to check on the numbers that are joining. Hi, Yvonne from Leeds. That's a lot more local. Hi, Kathy from the USA. We've got quite a global setup again with this session. We've still got people kind of joining us. Hi, Katerina from Cyprus. Nice to meet you. And Christina and Abdul from West Sussex. Oh, not Abdul, sorry, that's Zoe from West Sussex. Okay, hi Norman. Nice to meet you all. Okay, let me just have a look if the numbers are still increasing, and then I can kind of make a start. Okay, so we've still got a few people joining, and the numbers are still kind of going up a little bit, and then we'll make a start. Okay, so first and foremost, and before I forget, I'm going to just swipe down and let me kind of share my screen with you all. So you should be able to kind of see my screen now. You can absolutely participate in this. It's meant to be a hands-on session, so kind of you should be able to kind of get involved. At the moment you'll probably just see my iPad screen, which is fine. And this is the area that we're kind of going to cover with Showbie. So I'm assuming some of you will already be Showbie users. We will set up a class in a moment, but then I'm going to explore these particular features that are built into Showbie. There is some integration with Socrative as well, so I'm going to kind of cover that, but from a Showbie perspective. If you want to know more about Socrative, then I think we've got more webinars tomorrow just on Socrative Basic, and then some on Socrative Advanced as well. Okay, so let's just kind of go in and have a look at this. You can join, you're probably aware, but you can join Showbie through a browser, or you can join through the app as well. So I've got the app here. If I fire that up, you can join in directly from the app. I'll do that in a minute. But then I also have the browser, and if I just go back, you just type in showbie.com and it takes you to this page, and you're going to sign up for free. And when you sign up for free, it's going to ask you whether you want to be a teacher or a student. Choose the student option. It's exactly the same on the app when you join for the first time. And then choose sign up with username, not sign up with Google. So once you've done that, you're then kind of going to enter your first name, last name, username, password. Leave the email option. Do not connect your email with a student account. You don't want that to happen. We don't need emails anyway, but make sure your username that you put in, it might come back and tell you that the username has been taken. Showbie does have a massive base worldwide, so therefore users do kind of have their names taken sometimes, and therefore you got to be a bit more creative. Okay, that should then lead you to this final screen here, which is basically joining a class, and it will ask you for a class code. So let's go ahead and fire up Showbie, and actually let's look at this and let's get the class code created. So for starters, we're going to kind of just go straight into the spanner and the range settings here. I'm going to do a new class. I'm going to call it Abdul's class. You'll notice that in this session, I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty of codes and other bits and bats and so on, but I will definitely just talk about the features that we've got listed that we're gonna look at as well. One of the things you'll notice that there's a portfolio section as well, which I've kept switched on because you can kind of save assessments, and the students can also select certain pieces of work that they've done and have that in a e-portfolio for everyone to see. Okay, the code is automatically generated, as you will know, and it doesn't work until I hit the save button. So let me hit save, and I've created this class, and that's the code there, 4DNFB, 4DNFB. And if I just go to Zoom and go to chat, and I'll put this here as well. So it's 4DNFB. That's the class code. So anybody that's still struggling or coming in late or whatever, you should be able to kind of see that. Let me just make sure that that's correct. 4DNFB, 4DNFB. Okay, that's great. Okay, now we're going to set up a new assignment. And again, I'm just going to do, let's just call it Showbie Advance. Okay, and one of the things that we are looking at is assignment scheduling. So I'm just going to kind of go through this part with you. If you look very carefully here, I've got a due date that I've set up. It kind of initially just sets it up by itself, but you can go ahead and change that to whatever you want. Then you've also got student access as well. So this is writable access, and you can see the pen icon and the blue that's lit up. If I tap on the eye icon, then this becomes view only. So as it says, students can see it, but they can't interact, they can't do anything with it. And then if I just go to the lock icon, then that is this, the assignment is locked. The students cannot do anything, and you as a teacher can get all your content ready for students to kind of then have access to it when you schedule for that to happen. So then you can go into set schedule, and then it becomes editable on Thursday, April at 4 p.m. And if I hit save, it will then kind of just be, it will be locked so the students can't do anything, but then it automatically becomes editable at that particular time. That's a useful feature to have when, certainly from a home learning perspective, because it means you can set a week's worth of work and assignments and have kind of video content and even kind of flip learning videos and so on, all there in the assignment, but it will only unlock at a particular time on a particular date, and then it becomes editable and the students see it. Okay, so I do know of teachers at the moment, they'll kind of set their work for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and students will kind of work through and it unlocks itself at the same time, and then the teachers are just focused on giving feedback and so on as well. So that's kind of important to understand. Let's hit the save button. So that's created our assignment, and we've got people that have kind of joined our class. And of course, I can interact with you individually, and I can also kind of go into the shared items here, and I can then begin to kind of share with you content as a whole class. So we're going to kind of look at this speed marking and fast feedback element, right? So if I'm just going to go to shared items, and I'm going to do something that I did in the previous basic session as well. If I tap on the plus icon here, and I just go into scan document, I'm just going to scan in a student's book, and it is a scan document feature, so it's kind of scanning for a document, and then I can resize and re-edit this to exactly where I want it. And if I do keep scan, I can do a second page as well, and here we are. Very easy, that one's kind of more accurate. I hit keep scan, and then I'm just going to hit the save button. It's going to ask me this option: do I want to add them as individual items, or do I want to add it as a document? I'm going to say add it as a document. Now, that could have been 16 pages, 10 pages, 20 pages, 1 page. It doesn't really matter, but it does give me this option, and that's now available for all of you to be able to see. A couple of things. Firstly, we're going to do an activity with this now, but you can't, although I'm sending you this as a teacher at the moment, as students, you could have submitted, this could be a worksheet that you're filling in and then sending back to me. This could be, you know, work that the students have done and that's been sent to me. But because I've shared this document in shared items, it allows us to do speed marking and fast feedback. Okay, so if I just tap on this now, okay, and you know I can do voice feedback and annotate with voice and scribble over this, but I'm not going to do anything. Okay, what's going to happen is I want you guys as students to go into this and feel free to annotate, edit. You can draw something on there. It doesn't have to be meaningful. So even if you're not brilliant with English, don't worry about it. I'm not looking for any meaningful feedback in this particular instance. Once you've scribbled on this, use the tools at the top. There's text boxes, there's voice notes, there's scribbles with pens that you can do as well. Once you've done it, then I want you to hit the done button here. Okay, so I can't show you speed marking unless you submit something to me that I've put in shared items, right? So once you've done it, you hit the done button at the top and then you send that to me. Now, immediately I can see some people have kind of started sending me things, which is great because I can see the paperclip and I can see the blue line, and it's telling me that I haven't responded back to you as well. So I'm going to just wait a little bit because I want more of you to send it through. There's quite a few people that haven't sent anything through as well, and that's useful to know as well from a teacher perspective, which students are not contributing, which ones are not engaged, the blue lines haven't popped up, I'm not seeing the paper clips, and so on. So we're going to kind of look at this from a speed marking perspective, and I think it's good to be aware of this. So remember, is a document or a file. I mean, this could have been a PDF. It could have been something that I could have got off Google Drive or my Teams folder, or a spreadsheet I was using, but then I've uploaded it into shared items. In this case, I've just used a scanned document. Now look at what happens, right? So I can see this, we've got a whole bunch of students have submitted things. So I'm now gonna go back into the shared item that I uploaded. Okay, and you can see that my document is blank on both pages. Okay, so if I swipe across, I can see the second page and so on as well. But when I go, what I can do next to done, I've got these three icons of the three people, right? An outline of three people. If I tap there, what this then does is it allows me to see all the students in the class. So if I go to Carrie, for example, right at the top, you'll notice, let's have a look. Okay, and if we just swipe across, okay, so I can see at the moment, oh, there we are. So Carrie has kind of highlighted this and she's annotated this as well. Now, this could have been text, this could have been anything else. And as a teacher, this could be filling in the blanks, it could be writing in boxes, it could have been voice notes. I can now kind of give some quick feedback and say what I think and so on, and make comments. I could add voice notes, and if I just tap on the voice note icon at the top and give feedback on this, very colorful and very artistic. Okay, not the best feedback in the world, but actually I'm just giving an example of some feedback that I've kind of given for here and so on as well. What I can also do as well, okay, is manually at the top where you see that circle with the tick, if I tap on this, I can now give it a grade as well. Okay, so it might be that I'm saying it's 10 out of 14 or something like this, or I could give a grade, I can write a comment and so on. I hit the save button and you can see that the grade element pops up. Next thing that happens is, the reason why it's fast marking, if I tap on the next arrow, it will launch up the next student's annotations. Okay, and if I just swipe across, I can kind of see which page is it under. Let me just cancel this. Okay, right, so here I can now see Oscar's amendments and feedback and so on, and I can kind of again give feedback, and again for Oscar, see, carries on that 14, so I can say now that's, I'm going to give you 12, and hit save, and so on. And I can just tap on the next student and it loads up the next student's annotations as well, and so on. And I can very, very quickly kind of go through annotations on documents. There might be test papers, exam papers, and so on. I can kind of see that very, very quickly, and I can just go through, give grades, and so on. So no need to go out, go to another, you know, class, just student, and go in and check theirs again. It just kind of gives me this very, very quick way of kind of looking at feedback, and I can kind of see annotations, and I can give grades and so on as well. Once I've done that, I can hit the done button, and what you will see is the students that where I've given grades, that I can see them here as well. Okay, so that's really useful. And if I just tap on students, I can kind of briefly see what they've done. If I tap on Mehmet here, I can see, hey, you know, he's put a comment on, he's from Turkey, blah, 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 and so on. And I can kind of see for each student that there's some feedback and annotations that are there for each particular student. So this could have been a test paper, could have been an exam paper, and students will have been filling this in, writing on top, explaining. What's also useful is for you to be able to say, can you please use your voice and explain this to me as well? So you can direct different kinds of activities, whereas before it was just written stuff. Now you can say, actually, can you use your voice and explain how you did this, and so on. So that's quite powerful. Also, one other thing that was on our list, if I just tap on the settings option here, it does give me the option to export grades as well. So once I've added all my grades, I can export it as a CSV, put it into a learning management system, put it into a tool somewhere, and actually that data is exported. And it might be that I just have my own spreadsheet where I'm kind of collecting my data, and it kind of does that for you very, very easily. So that's something to be aware about, and something to know. And that Gradebook feature kind of just really fits in there very, very well. Okay, we're going to just look at something a little bit different. We're going to look at the Showbie integration as well. But just before I do that, I'm just going to go at the top left here. And something that I will kind of mention is, of course, this is a class. This is one assignment. Over the year, I will have multiple assignments under many topics. So it would be worthwhile as a team at school considering how you use these folders effectively. So if I'm a chemistry teacher, I might have atomic, or it might even be more simpler than that. I might be using Chem 101, and that's that first topic that we're going to do. And then within Chem 101, I've got another one, and obviously that's going to be called new folder. Let's call that, give it a different color. Let's call that Chem 102, and I'm going to save that, and so on, and that will be there. If you're in elementary school, you might divide it according to subject, maths, English, and so on. But you can use these. Now, what I would say is have an agreed approach with your school in the way in which you set up these folders. Don't just kind of, you want to avoid the scenario where every teacher is calling a folder a different thing. And if I go to one teacher, it's different. If I go to another teacher, it's different. There needs to be an approach that is kind of agreed across an organization. There are schools that have different colored books, and therefore they use different colored folders here to match with the books for the different topics or the different subjects. It may be that you have a folder where actually this is where you are going to do all your assessments, okay? And that might be here. And that's something that you could easily kind of create and put in here as well. What you'll notice as well is when you go into these, let me just kind of look at this again. Sorry, just give me 1 minute. Abdul's class, and let's just go to assessment, and you can add assignments. So in this assessment folder, I'm going to do a new assessment. I'm going to do required, and I'm going to do, say, it's going to be a formative, or actually no, it's just going to be a quiz 101 that we're going to do, and I'm going to hit save button. And what you'll notice is because we're in that class, you guys are already in here. Okay, so all my assignments and quizzes will be in assessment. I've got a quiz 101, I can have quiz 102, 103, 104, and all my quizzes and assessments may be kept here. Now, talking of quizzes, let's have a look at this and let's launch a quiz and see what this looks like. So one thing that you will notice is if I go into a shared items here, and on my plus icon, if I tap there, I have this option called quiz. This quiz is actually linked to Socrative, okay? And if I just come out of here and look at the Socrative app, I could go to Socrative.com and go to his browser. So you have to understand that Socrative has now been brought out by Showbie, and therefore Showbie has some integration features. Socrative is a tool in its own right. There are lots of schools that use Socrative for assessment and gathering data and so on. So there is something that you can use totally separately. However, in this instance, I'm just going to go into Socrative, and the students don't need to do anything. That's the great thing about this. So if I just kind of see if I can sign in. Well, actually, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to go on the browser. Okay, so I'm in browser. I'm going to log in, see, and if it'll let me do a teacher login through Face ID, will it? Yeah, it will. Here we are. So no need to put in passwords and so on. So you'll kind of see here that I'm in Socrative now. The app behaves in exactly the same way. I'm just going through a browser. Now, this isn't a session on Socrative, so I'm not going to go into the details of that in here. However, some things that you should know about. Number one is that I have different rooms here, and Socrative works on rooms. We're going to go to the P table one, okay? And the way that I change that room is by tapping on this arrow here. If I tap there and just go to P table and change that, here I am. And within P table, I can kind of create quizzes. So if I just go to a quiz, here I am. I've got one on the periodic table, for example. I've got two on the periodic table, actually. This is where I kind of create quizzes, or I can edit quizzes. I can add a quiz and just create a new one. But I've got one that's already made, which is this one. And you can see this is super simple. I give it a title here. I can edit this, so I can change the text here at the top just by typing it out again. And I've chosen carbon as the correct answer. If there was two correct answers, I could kind of highlight two, but it will know and auto mark and explain that actually carbon is the right answer. The next one is one that where I've uploaded an image, and again, you know, I can delete the image and upload a new one if I want to as well. And I've given some correct answers, so it has to be calcium carbonate. I can give a couple of other options. So unfortunately, this type of question I have to be very accurate with. So if a capital letter is lowercase, it will not accept that as the answer. So I've kind of given a couple of options here, and I can add more options as well. And it may be that I just have just multi-choice rather than this kind of open-ended one as well. And then I've got a true or false one, which I've selected true is the correct answer. And then there's an open-ended one as well. If I want to delete a question, I can just hit the delete button. And I hit yes, and that question's gone. And I've got 3 questions there, very, very easy. I'm gonna hit save and exit, and that's done. Now what happens is this, remember we're in the P table room. We're gonna go back to Showbie. We are in this quiz element, and all my quizzes are gonna be here. And because it produces data for me, and we're gonna look at that now. If I just go to plus, and I go to quiz, the first time I do this, it will ask me for my username and password for Socrative as a teacher. I will just do that once. I've already done that. Now it's asking me to choose a room, and I've got a bunch of rooms here, but the one that we're using is P table. So I'm going to choose that, and it's going to ask me to connect to that room. And then within that room, there's a bunch of quizzes that we have. And here's our periodic table one. I'm then going to go to next. So let's go to next. And here, it does something really quite interesting. It gives me 3 options. I can either have a teacher-paced approach. So as a teacher, like it says, I control the flow of the questions. I can monitor the responses. I can then get the students to go on to the next one and so on. I can skip the questions. I can go back and revisit. There's an open navigation option as well, which is kind of a bit more flexible. Students can answer the questions in any order that they want. They can change the answers before finishing as well. And we get to see the results live. And there's also this instant feedback element. So with this, the students can answer questions in any order. But sorry, they can only answer the questions in order. They cannot change answers. They can't go back, and they get instant feedback once they've kind of submitted a question. So we're going to do that. I'm going to choose instant feedback. If this was in class in a school, I could shuffle the question. So it doesn't give the same kind of questions. It moves it about. And once I've done this, I can hit the start button. And what you will see is on your browser or on your Showbie app, it's kind of launched the quiz. So what I would like you to do is have a go at the quiz, and you can see what that looks like from the student perspective on Showbie. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tap on this periodic table quiz here that's popped up for me and shared. And that kind of, I can see you guys, I can see which students are active. I can see, it will tell me on the left, I can see more of you are joining. Okay. And as you answer the questions, it's kind of giving me a report to say how many questions are being right and wrong. Please get some questions wrong as well. So that's important. So we can kind of see what that looks like. And it just kind of color rates it. Questions that are correct are going to be green. Questions that are not correct are going to be red, and so on. I can kind of live see which students are not sharing here or not involved and so on from a home learning perspective. If we were in class, I could hide the names, so I can hide that, and I could project my iPad up onto a screen and students can just see that actually things are being completed, but actually I'm not getting a response back from certain students, or some students are struggling with a particular question, so on. I could go the other way. I could say show names, but hide the answers. I don't want to embarrass the students. So I can see their names, but I can see that some students haven't responded because it's just a white box, white boxes across the board, and so on. What's also really nice here as well is if I want to know what that question was. I've only got 3 questions here. I may have had 10 questions. If I want to just tap on question 2, it will tell me what that question is, and it will kind of give me a bit of feedback from the students as well. Okay. So this way I can kind of see the students have completed, how many students. At the bottom, I can see what percentage of students answered the questions correctly and which ones haven't. So that gives me kind of an indication as to if I need to cover a particular topic again. Okay, so if I go to finish at the top now, you can see that my periodic table is no longer orange, it's grayed out, which means I've finished with this. The quiz has finished. I've got these 3 dots. If I tap on this, I can now begin to do some really interesting things. So number 1, I can distribute reports. If I tap on this, what this is now doing is creating an individual report for each of you. Okay, it will have your name on it, and as it kind of creates the report and publishes it, you'll see it pop up next to your name, a little red circle that is kind of saying that you've got feedback from Socrative, and you can kind of have a look at that. So you'll see these circles popping up in a moment next to names. If a student hasn't had a go at it at all and not attempted it, you don't get a report. But typically speaking, you should be able to kind of see the reports and go in, and they'll be quite visible. Okay, so let me just kind of see, here we are. So I've got these little circles popped up, and if I just pick up a particular student, let me just look at Jenny's. Okay, here it is. I can see at the top, there's the results for the periodic table, and you can see it's kind of come up with a score. It's quite personalized. I can tap on it. I can annotate. I can give feedback and mark things and explain, or I can say, please can you record your voice and explain to me what the chemical name is for this and correct this, and explain to me why you thought it was carbon rather than the correct answer. And I hit save. So it's a different way in which, again, I can ask students, so I know they're not just cut and pasting from Google, and it requires them to be able to speak and explain things as well. Very, very easy to do. Saves significant amount of time in terms of being able to kind of upload content and kind of do self-marking as well. It doesn't just stop there. If I just pause and cancel that, sorry, Jenny, just discard that because I'm conscious of time and I want to show you something here. If I just go back to shared items, one thing that's also really nice, if I tap on the 3 dots, part of this is kind of populating grades. So it's marked it. If I just do distribute scores, it will then, you can see on the left-hand side, it's populated all the scores here. And again, what's nice is I can tap on this and do export grades, CSV, out it goes, and it can go into a learning management system and so on. So there's that kind of accuracy element where I can kind of share this very, very easily, and it's easy to kind of have a look at as well. So hope that's kind of useful to understand how that Socrative integration works. The other thing that's kind of worthwhile knowing about as well is if I'm not in Showbie, I could be in, say, for example, I don't know, let's say I'm using Pages as a document, okay? So I could be using, and I've just picked up this template, which is a cookbook thing here, and I could be editing this and doing a variety of different things on here. Very, very easy to do, edit photos and all that kind of stuff and so on. But let's just say I've kind of finished this assignment, and this could be Microsoft Word, it could be Excel, it could be PowerPoint. If I tap on the 3 dots at the top, I can kind of share this, and if you notice, Showbie is an option here. Okay, so if I just go to Showbie now, so I'm not in Showbie, but it's picking up my classes. So I can go to a class. Let's go to our class, Abdul's class, and look, we can see it in Showbie. We can go into Showbie Advanced. Let's just go in there, and you can see that I can now share this document with certain students, or I could share with everyone. If I hit everyone and add file, then this cookbook document will pop up there, and you can then go in and edit and annotate and do all that kind of stuff, and it's already there. Okay, that's something worthwhile kind of thinking about in terms of how you can share content from outside Showbie, from anywhere, directly into Showbie as well. And if we just go back into Showbie Advanced and just kind of look at shared items, that document, the cookbook document, will be there as well, and you can kind of see that. Okay, so that's really quite a useful tool to be able to kind of look at as well. I think that it allows us to kind of do a variety of different things in terms of using different apps, tools, videos, and content, and so on as well. Okay, one other thing that's kind of worthwhile looking at as well is within Showbie, you might want to be able to kind of share something. So for example, if I've got this document here, if I just keep it pressed down, I can share this within Showbie. So I can tap on share, I can go to Showbie. Don't worry if you can't follow the steps that I'm taking. Remember, this will be recorded and shared with you when you do the survey. And I can go to classes. Now, here, I could share this document with any of my classes that are here. Or I could just go back into our class, and this time I'll share it under assessment, under quiz 101, and I'll share that with everyone and add file, and that will now be uploaded there. So, where students have done some nice work and I want to be able to kind of share that with other students, you can also do that from within Showbie quite easily. Okay, there's something to think about. It's quite an easy tool to use. I'm just going to go back and, although discussions is not kind of part of this thing, but I'm going to switch it on just so that you can post questions here. So this is obviously we've done this in Showbie Basics, but this is where students can kind of comment and add things as well. Okay, look, I'm conscious of time and I need to share surveys with you as well. The one thing that we have not covered is groups. So down here, there's this option for groups. If I just go to groups, this is a really useful feature because it allows me to add students, teachers, just students, just teachers from anywhere. Okay, so they don't have to be a class. So for example, I could just create a new group here, and this new group, I might just call it the staff room. Okay, and literally what we're going to have here is just teachers, and you know, I can just share that code with teachers. I can switch off for parents to join, so parents can join this. I'm going to switch that off. I'm going to switch students off, and here's a staff room. And it may be that I leave it open and people can talk to one another, and yes, you can add files and images and discuss and talk and so on. Or we could just have it announcements only, so nobody can post anything, but the creator of the group can share bulletins, can share updates and so on. So you're not just bombarded by emails, but actually it's a place where you go to and you pick up, you know, any notices and information this way as well. So groups can be kind of pretty useful. There are schools that use this, like for example, this 8E 2016-17. Back then there was a school that I was working with, and they basically had 7 students and 3 teachers. 3 teachers were all maths teachers. The 7 students were all students that loved doing maths, but they were never in the same class. So they created this group, you use this group feature to add the students in there. If they were in different grades and different classes, and the teachers would just literally set up assignments and just be able to kind of post things there, and the students would respond with video, voice, annotations, and so on as well. So something to think about from a group's perspective as well. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of go back to classes. And how do you get icon show? What would be the arrow? Okay, sorry Haley, just explain to me what you mean by that. When you say icon to show, what would be the arrow? Do you mean when in annotations? Do you mean like when you're creating names of voice notes or something? Just clarify that for me, please. And I'll do my best to answer that for you as well. Meanwhile, whilst kind of you're posting questions, I am gonna just bring up the presentation. I'm gonna share with you 2 links that you should be aware of. So the 2 links that I'm gonna share with you are these 2. The first one is something that the Showbie and Socrative teams have running. You can apply for 5 free Showbie Pro and Socrative Pro licenses for your school, and you simply do that by tapping on that link. And if I just kind of show you the last link, this is the webinar survey. I'll keep this running even after the session finishes. Please fill that in, because once you've completed that, they'll send you a link with the video as well. And then I'm going to kind of spend a few minutes on answering questions as well. So is the unread feature feature working again now? They disabled it to save the servers. Yes, that's working. I think right just at the beginning of this pandemic, one of the things that Showbie tried to do was to kind of make Showbie available for free for, you know, for people everywhere. But I think the amount of traffic that they got through was pretty serious. So I think now they're doing this 5 Showbie Pro and Socrative licenses, so they can manage that. And for their fee-paying customers, you know, they've kind of, and because there are some countries, full countries that are running Showbie as well, so they kind of just made sure that it was possible to continue to use it as well. So it should be up and running now as well. How do you get an icon to show that arrow? I'm intrigued, Haley, with that. So let me know what you mean by that, because you can get icons in different ways. It does, when you're annotating, you can actually use the keyboard, the emoji keyboard, and kind of use that. That's something that you can do to be able to kind of use. How let's have a look. I've been making videos with screen recording like you. Yeah, perfect, Haley. That's really useful. Susan, how are your thumbnails in the assignments, larger, minus small? Good question. So let's just go into assignments, and let's just go to shared items. And this 3 dots at the top, if I tap there, and see, I've got this option to show large previews. Now, if I hide that, this is what you're seeing. If you switch it on, this is then what you can see. And what's also nice is I can actually scroll across within it if I've got multiple pages as well. So that's a nice feature to be able to look at as well. Okay, is the scheduling feature working now? Again, it wasn't working. Yes, scheduling feature should be working now. And I've not had any issues with people telling me that it's not working. If I want students to send me photos of their work, how do they send as one document? Do they have the scan feature? Kathy, they can do the scan feature. They need the scan document feature, okay? And when they do the scan document feature, and they've taken multiple scans, they can then upload. Now, that's something that sometimes student needs explaining, because students might think the camera and the scan document is doing the same thing. So you would actually need to say to student, use the scan document feature, and then can you add it as one item? Otherwise, you'll end up with like 20 pages and 20 kind of images popping up, and that's not really what you want, okay? So that's something that you just need to be kind of be kind of, you know, make students aware of. The scan feature may not be available if the iPads are really old. If they're using iPads, scan feature may not be available if you're using the browser, because obviously there's no camera at the back. Scan feature may not be available if you haven't updated your iPad and updated the Showbie app. So that's something to kind of think about as well. Let's have a look. What's this photo, Haley? Okay. Okay, so that is I use that as a cursor icon. If you're asking me what this is about, so I can point to things when I'm doing scenarios. Really, it's an accessibility feature on the iPad. So if I just go into settings, and I go to accessibility, and what I've got, if I go to touch, I've got assistive touch on here. If I go to assistive touch and switch it off, it disappears. If I put it back on, then it pops up again. And I'm kind of just cheating in some ways, because I just use it to point at different things so people know what it is that I'm speaking about. Okay. As well as adding audio feedback to students, where is it possible to use audio in class discussions? Yeah, so you can just, if we go to discussions where we are now, if I just tap on plus, I've got voice note there, dead easy, I can kind of add that in. Multiple teachers for one class, good question. Okay, so what's great about one of the other the elements around this is if I just go to the settings icon here for my class, and I go to class members, one option, I can see all the students here, which is great. I can also see teachers here as well. If I go to teachers, right, so we can see here now, we've got a whole bunch of people that have joined our class as teachers rather than students. Now, normally I've not kind of approved them, because I think a couple of times when I've done that, a few people kind of managed to archive my class or almost delete it whilst we were doing the session. So I haven't kind of thinking. But say, for example, Mrs. Antonova, if I was to approve her, okay, she is now a teacher in the class. She can edit and do everything that I can do as a teacher. Okay, and I might add multiple teachers in there, and you would need to think about, you know, which teachers are you going to add, what's their purpose, what are they doing, and so on. It may be that it's people that are kind of in a particular hierarchical position that have been added, and therefore they can go in and edit and change and so on. So any teachers that I add here, if I was to approve these guys at the moment, they've not been able to take part in the classes, but actually, as teachers, they can go in and edit and do this, you know, and give feedback. I won't add everybody on, but you get the idea. These teachers are now able to kind of edit things and so on. And they can go in and mark and give feedback and do all of that stuff. So that from a co-teaching perspective can be quite useful. Also, one thing that I do need to kind of cover is archiving. So for example, if I've got a bunch of these assignments here and I'm done with these now, then I can swipe to the left and I get this archiving option here. And what that does is it looks like it's deleted. Can you see it's disappeared? But actually, if I tap on the spanner settings and I go to show archived here, it brings it back. And if I keep it pressed, then it will give me the option to restore the assignment. If I hit restore assignment, it's kind of back there again. I can do exactly the same with any other classes as well, right? So I could just swipe across here and I can archive that, but I can always bring them back. That's a really nice feature because it means I can never really delete content. I can always bring it back, which also means from an advanced perspective, you need to think about how you name your classes. And there are schools that are kind of given some attention to that and ended up with plans like this. So they have the year group, so we can go back a few years. You will always know what the year is. They have a class name, the teacher initials and subject. So this is a potential approach that you might think about from an advanced perspective if your whole school is going down this route. So that's kind of bringing us up to time. When you're a co-teacher of a class, you get all notifications there where you can mute them for you. But yeah, absolutely. So every teacher maintains their own notifications. You can go in and switch on your notifications or switch them off, and another teacher can manage theirs. That's entirely up to them as well. So feel free to kind of, definitely do that. On daylight savings, all my schedules were moved on a week. Oh, that's interesting. Not heard that one before. It shouldn't be doing that, but when you do the survey for the Showbie survey that I posted earlier on, please mention that, and somebody from there will get in touch with you as well. Is there a way to upload a quiz for Socrative to Showbie for select students in the class, but not all the students? Yes, you can. What I would say is either create a class just for those students and then upload it for them, rather than kind of, just kind of launching it in the shared area. Okay. So, well, you're asking me about features and what's available and what isn't. What I would say is that if hang on a minute, let's just have a look. There's a couple of other questions. I've been making videos for class, but I find that they take ages to upload. Any advice? Kind of, are you doing these on the iPad? They shouldn't take that long normally. So if I was to upload a video, one that I made earlier, it's not massively long, but you'll compare it with this, and if it's an issue, so you'll see how long this is, and you can see it uploading now. It's just a quick tutorial video I did on multiplying by 11 or something, but you can see the speed at which this is uploading. And so I'd compare that with your video and have a look at how long this video is as well, so you get an idea. And if you feel that it's significantly different and it's taking a lot longer, then this is something then you can kind of bring up with the Showbie guys. But actually you should be able to kind of upload clips pretty easily. Certainly if you've got the pro account, you should be able to do that. Yes, notifications are working. So we've been using that today, and I've been kind of using that with seminars all day today, and that's been kind of fine. Okay, guys, I'm kind of gonna stop there. Let me just see if there are, I'll leave this class discussion on, and definitely just feel free to kind of continue discussions. I'll switch it off later on. If I stop my screen broadcasting right now, definitely fill out those surveys. They're worthwhile kind of thing. And once you've completed the survey, that's when Showbie will send you a link with the clip as well. If I just go to Zoom as well. So TAs and core teachers, Katie, you can do it in exactly the same way. You just give them the code. They sign up as teachers on Showbie. You give them the code, and then they join your class. Okay. Will there be any video conferences possible on Showbie? I will say this much, that there is a lot of development happening from the Showbie side. Certainly from this distance learning perspective, there's a lot of demand for things like that. So I would definitely say that just watch this space at the moment, and hopefully something potentially might come through around that. Can you only use audio on marking attachment docs, not the general feed that a student may write? You can, so you can tap plus and just hit voice note and it will pop up. So where you hit the plus thing, you'll see voice note there. And the annotation with voice note, that's separate. That's when you go in a document and you annotate with voice. Okay. Okay, so if you, sorry, Yvonne, I'm just kind of answering your other part. If you've got the pro version, then they can actually record for about 20 minutes or so, as I believe. If haven't got the pro version, then it's very, very limited. Okay, so that's something that you might want to think about. I think sometimes it's probably better to stick to a few minutes, 3-4 minutes, and then kind of go back to that. And then just do multiple voice notes in that way as well. I can't share the links here, guys. I'm really sorry, because for some reason, even if I try and do it now, for some reason here, I don't know. Can you see that link? Because there's an issue with Zoom and these links. You can see it. Okay, that's good. Oh, it's Hanan. Nice to meet you, Hanan. Didn't realize it was you. Okay, so you can see that. Let me go and get the other link as well. Give me a minute. Let me just go back to the slide and grab the other link as well. It's the Showbie Pro free one. So copy. I'm glad you can see that, because I've been struggling to kind of put that on here. I'm just going to paste it here. Paste. And hit send. Okay, and there you are. You should be able to kind of see the 5 Showbie Pro ones as well. Okay, guys. Hope that's been kind of useful. And you should be able to kind of be able to, if you want to get out of the class, you can just delete the class. Just swipe to the left and you can archive and you can delete, and that's easily done. Okay, Sarah, what other questions or queries did you have? Post it on here and then I'll kind of share it with you. I'm trying to look above if I've answered any of your questions earlier on. Oh, I'm going, Sarah, there you are. Okay. Can you annotate with an actual post from a student verbally, not just after? You can annotate with so in the class area, in the kind of shared area, you can just tap on plus and give voice note and give feedback that way. If you tap on a student's name, then you can tap on plus, add voice note and give feedback that way. And then they can kind of, the students can respond to that. When you upload something and lock it for later, I know students can't open it, but can they see it sitting there? I don't believe they can, but certainly feel free to kind of trial that, because if it's locked, it's not view only. They literally can't see it. Okay, and then that just then becomes available. If you have an assignment with various steps, can you reorder the steps once written? I think once you've set the assignment, then you can't reorder the assignment, because you've kind of published it in that space, in that way, in the shared items element. So you might want to think about how you might look at that. I'm assuming, Sarah, that you're saying if you have an assignment with various steps, can you reorder the steps once written? Just give me 1 minute. Sorry, just kind of keen to answer your questions, Sarah. Just give me 1 minute. Let me just see something here. Sorry, Sarah, just give me 1 minute. I know it's over time. Guys, other people, if they want to leave, feel free to kind of do that. I'm just kind of... Hi, Sarah.
Hello?
Hi, can you hear me?
Oh yeah, crikey.
Right.
I'm amazed.
Sorry, I enabled you. I enabled your voice. I'm just trying to understand what it is that you were asking.
Okay. So when you, I mean, I'm new to this, although I did go to your other seminar the other day, but I haven't played with it at all in any detail. But I deal with very small children, and it may be the case that I might, as part of one class, there might be various steps. So step 1, I'd like you to look at this, and step 2, open this PDF and print it off, and blah, blah, blah. Step 3. So, I mean, do you, so far when I've been playing with the system and uploading things for fun, I haven't been able to reorder steps, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, so you're basically talking about in the workspace or in the shared area where you've put the steps on, you then want to kind of go in and reorder that, right?
Yeah, because I mean, I may not have, kind of designed it beforehand. I might think, oh, that's useful, I'll chuck that in there. And then I think, oh, goodness, this would be good as a starter. And then I want to kind of, maybe I found it later.
Totally understand. I'm just going to switch my screen recording on. Sorry, my screen broadcasting. You should be able to see my screen. Can you see it?
Yeah. Should I close the chat? Sorry, I don't know what to do.
Let's close the chat, and then I'll show you that. I understand what you're saying now. Sorry, I'm just going to mute you now. There we go. Okay, right. So if I just go to Showbie now, I think this is what you mean, Sarah. For example, if I just do, if I just do step 1, and then I'm just going to hit post, and that's there. Then I'm going to do step 2, and I'm going to hit post, and that's there as well. And what you're saying, Sarah, is, can you see the lines on the side here? I can pick them up and I can reorder them in this way. Yeah. So for example, this cookbook, I want it to kind of go below this one, so I can reorder. I think that is what you were referring to. Okay. What I will do, yes, you can ask me individual questions. Let me just make sure. You can. I'm going to just share my email here. So feel free to kind of get back to me, because I'll happily kind of share this with you guys. So you should be able to see my screen. And you'll be able to kind of email me there. Yvonne, just give me 1 minute. Let me just go to participants here. Where's Yvonne? There we are, Yvonne. And put you on talking. Hi, Yvonne, can you hear me?
Mute. Hi, can you hear me?
Yvonne? Yes, I can hear you now.
Hi, yeah, thank you. What I'm a little bit familiar with Showbie. We've used it on a basic level for quite a few years. There's just one, I got into your sessions a few weeks ago, and it was to do with the basic like voice note within a student's document. So a student sent me quite a large essay uploaded. I could do voice note through that. That was fine. And what I'd also done though is I'd asked a couple of questions within our chat. So I'd asked a general question to say all 10 of the students. And then I'm a drama student, so a drama teacher. So I'd said to them something like, how would you explain lighting in the opening scene? And they replied in their normal chat. Now, because the responses were quite extensive, what I wanted to be able to do within that response was to be able to put, you know, like the voice note, like you can in a document, within, like embedded at places, not just.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. So when you when you say they put it in the chat, do you mean like they'd put a voice note on as well?
Not in the chat, sorry. So in their folder area. So I'd asked a general question.
Yeah.
And then in their individual folders, they were asked to write a response.
Okay.
Some of their responses were quite big, and I thought, oh, I can use what he showed us the other day from the document. So I went to click on, and you can't put like, am I right in saying you can't put like voice feedback within?
Yeah, not on the text that's in the shared items. Can you see this? Yeah. You can see the screen at the moment, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so for example, can you see where it says step 1 and step 2 on my screen?
If I just don't want to press close instead of, wait a minute, can you hear me? Yeah, I can, yeah.
Yeah, so what I can't do is I can't add voice notes to that step 1 and step 2 text.
Right, so even if they've done a really long response in that area there, they're doing a really, and halfway down, ooh, I don't quite understand what you mean there. I can't put voice into that.
No, you can't put voice into that. What you could do, so there's a couple of things that you might be able to do. So for example, watch, if I tap on plus and I go to voice note, okay, and I hit record. So I'm just now recording my voice and I'm just giving feedback, blah, blah, blah. And I hit post, right? Now what that will do is, obviously this is in shared items, but I would do this for individual students.
Individually, yeah, of course.
Now I might be able to move that in between. Can you see how I move the voice note in between? So I'm just, and I can, or I might move the voice note up there and so on. So one option, one way in which you, and I can kind of rename this. So rather than this voice note, I can just say this is feedback and hit return. And I can kind of move that to below or above and so on. However, from what you're saying to me, what I would say is you're probably better off
asking students to upload documents.
Yeah, so what you would do is in shared items, for example, you can either upload a blank document or something, just an empty page, you know, with a question on there in terms of whatever activity that you wanted them to do. And then they would then go and edit that by typing their text on. And then once they've done that, you can then enable that speed marking and fast feedback feature. And then you can then annotate using voice.
When you say a blank document, do you mean something simply like a Word doc or something?
Yeah, so literally, you know, it'll be a Word document. Let me just kind of create one and show you this. So if I just kind of create a blank one, I'm literally just going to do a blank document. Here we are, right? And let's just say your question was, I don't know, list 5 features of whatever it is, and so on. So I've done that. Now what I'm going to do, see, now I could have put that directly in the chat, in the chat, but because I've got a whole class that I'm asking to respond, I would then just do export. I could send this as a PDF, it's not a problem, or a Word document. Let's just do PDF, and I'm going to go to Showbie, right? And what I'm now going to do is go to classes, and I'm going to go to our class, and I'm going to go to Showbie Advanced. This is our thing. I'm going to do share with everyone. So that's shared with everyone. And then that's added the file. Now, what would happen is if we go to Showbie now, what you'll notice is in the shared items, we should be able to kind of, I'm pretty sure I did put it there. Okay.
All right. Okay.
Right, there it is, yeah. So now what students would do is they tap on this. Can you see it just opened up a blank document for me? And now here, you know, they can they can use the text box. And if you don't want to do
it
that,
gives you more
they can,
abilities
yeah,
to
they
use.
can just read this and they can type as much as they want or whatever it is and so on. And they can kind of put that. Then what that allows you to do is then to kind of add voice notes on the text and to be able to give feedback in that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's so much more right. That really makes sense. Thank you so much for that.
So you can then give grades and you can do that fast feedback and you can kind of respond to each individual students much faster as well, and it becomes a lot more easier.
That's excellent. Last question to you. I signed up for 3 sessions today, and the first one I didn't get any acknowledgement back, so it meant that I came into Socrative late, as in I came in for the second session.
Right. That's fine. They're running tomorrow as well, so just have a look at the Showbie website for tomorrow, and you should still be able to sign up.
All right. Okay. Brilliant. That's
they're repeated tomorrow and next week and so on as well. But I think the scheduling is all being done by Showbie and Socrative guys, so you should still be able to sign up with them.
Cool. Okay. Thank you so much for help. Cheers.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Bye. You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, guys. Let me see if there's any more people. How to use discussions of collaboration online amongst students. So yeah, you can just, if you just go on discussion and you just enable verbal feedback, enable the voice note feature, then you can kind of do that very, very easily. Okay, there's a couple Q&A things here as well. Let me just kind of see. Okay, I think we've covered that. Do your archive classes ever get deleted? No, they don't. You can only if you hit the delete button once they've been archived. Okay. Is there a way to navigate between classes on Showbie? Yeah, you just tap on the class that you want to go to, and that's kind of easy to get through. Cynthia, yeah, we've just come to the end of the session. We've kind of gone over by about 20 minutes, but that's purely because I don't have another webinar after this as well. So easy. You upload the keynote onto Showbie, and then they can then use that to be able to kind of edit as well. So there's something just you should know about. If I just go to Showbie, let's look at this. This is a pages document. If I tap on this and I tap on the plus icon on the top right and tap there, can you see share the pages document, view the original, make a copy? So if I want to do share the pages document, I can then open this back in Pages. I might be able to open that back in Keynote as well, and then I can go and then kind of go in and continue to kind of edit this as well. I can hit View Original, so the original pops up here, and then I can tap on plus. And literally go into the Pages document as well and begin to edit. So when it turns it into a PDF for annotation, it always keeps the original copy as well. So you can take the original copy and edit and begin to edit that as well. Okay, guys, that kind of brings us towards the end of our session. Sorry, I can't kind of take everybody's questions right now as well, but I'm kind of hope that we've covered a fair few of these. These sessions will be continuing tomorrow and next week as well, so feel free to kind of share and to kind of come back as well and ask additional questions as well. Hope that I can help and hope that kind of becomes easy to use. So finding it a bit hard to annotate text using text box in PDF. Any ideas? I would probably use the text box annotation feature rather than the text box itself. Okay, so I'm kind of looking, if I just go to Showbie again, I'm looking at this option. Yeah, so that is an easier one to use, and I can kind of put that. So if I just tap anywhere and I can just fill out the text, hit save, and I can move that wherever I want, and I can hide that as well. So if, for example, I could name this and hit edit, And I'm just labeling this as an image. This is an egg. Hit save. There you are. I can kind of annotate that and put that wherever I want. That's easier to fill in and put in boxes. And you can write as much as you want, and you can just kind of make it shorter as well. Okay, guys, I'm going to stop recording now. Hope that's kind of been useful. And feel free to kind of make use of that as much as possible. Hope you are all well and keeping safe. Speak soon. Thank you very much.